Hey guys, so this weekend I got married. So in this video, to kind of kick off this like Thursday series of me talking about other things besides just research tips to help you succeed, I want to talk to you about dating in graduate school. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about me and my partner's story of, kind of how we got to the point of getting married. And then I'm also going to talk about mistakes that I made, especially related to graduate school and managing both of those things. If you don't already know me, I'm Dr. Elena Reister. I got my PhD in chemistry, and on this channel, I make content to help you complete your research with less effort. In this video, I'm really going to be talking about the importance of learning your field and putting less effort for your results, and then being able to use that to live more, because that's ultimately the purpose of this brand, is to really help researchers and graduate students live more. So me and my partner got together within my first couple weeks of grad school. So when I was in college, me and my ex broke up like 3 weeks before I moved out for grad school. And so I went on online dating sites, which is how I found my ex, and actually set my location to where I was going to be going for graduate school, to kind of meet new people and meet friends. And one of the people that I messaged, because at the time I like to message guys instead of waiting for them to message me, one of the people that I messaged at that time was my now husband. And we started talking. He was an engineer, and I thought he was super cute. So messaged him. We started talking. We talked throughout my 3 weeks up until I moved out for grad school. Just about everything. We talked almost every day, just kind of chatting and stuff like that. And then when I finally moved out, I drove out here. And then we set to go on our first date the Thursday after I drove out here. So I think I started grad school on Tuesday and we drove out here like Wednesday. So it was like almost a week that I had before I actually started grad school. And so we were like talking and stuff. And then we went on our first date on Thursday night. And it was super cute. Like, it was a good date. There was nothing like wrong with it or anything. But I was kind of contemplating things and I was like, well, I'm just starting grad school. And then I talked to my mom about it. And my mom was basically like, I really don't think you should start grad school and a relationship at the same time, because you should really get focused on grad school and make big strides there for what you want. And a relationship can always come later. And so I ended up telling my now partner that I wasn't interested, and basically that I wasn't planning on dating and stuff like that. And I thought that was just going to be the end of it. I was going to focus on grad school, become this super great scientist and everything. But we had already kind of made plans to hang out and stuff the next weekend. And so I was like, okay, you're like my only friend here, so we can, just hang out as friends. So we did, and it was still kind of, there was no interest. I was going to focus on graduate school, which just like, first of all, if you're one of those people that's like, I'm just going to focus on grad school, everything else in my life can just hold off and wait. Like, grad school isn't a reason to put your life on hold. And if I had really followed through with what I was saying about how I'm just going to put grad school, or about how I was just going to put him off and everything throughout grad school, like, I wouldn't have my husband now. If there's nothing else you take away from this, I really want you to take away that you don't need to put your life on hold for grad school. And if you do, you're going to miss out on a lot. If you treat grad school more like a job and that you can still have your life in the off time, I think that's a better way to treat it than to treat it as, I'm just a PhD student right now. So we ended up hanging out, and we hung out a couple times, and we kind of just enjoyed spending time together and everything like that. And I was really going through this, I still liked him, but I felt like I needed to focus on grad school. So I felt like it was wrong of me to actually pursue a relationship with him while I was just starting up grad school. A few weeks in, I'm in grad school, everything's working out, we're still able to hang out and stuff like that. So a few weeks in, we had a conversation one night and we're basically just talking about, what is going on with us, right? Like, is what I originally said, like, I'm not interested in it, is that still true or am I or whatever? And so I basically was like, yeah, I'm still interested in you. And I don't really know, with me being in grad school, I don't really know how I'm going to handle all that and everything. And so the next day, he ended up asking me out, like to be his, partner, girlfriend, whatever. Um, and I said yes. And so that was when we first started dating. June 11th was our like dating anniversary. And so we, just like dated, but I was really careful about making it clear that like grad school was my primary focus and that he came after grad school. And now I regret doing that. I think it caused a lot of issues within our relationship early on because I had made this so clear that he was second to my career and grad school and everything. My first year was the year that I really overworked. I didn't know what I was doing, and I was in the notion that I'm just going to be a good scientist, right? So I'm going to work late nights, I'm going to work all kinds of crazy hours. My work comes first, all of this stuff. And so that really caused issues in our relationship because I was so focused on being this idealized grad student, scientist, whatever. And so we didn't really go on dates because he never knew if he could plan something because I never knew when I would be working and when I wouldn't be working. But then I was also like mad that we never went on dates, circular logic. That whole situation, like I honestly just regret it because in reality, he's done more for me than my degree ever has. And the fact that I was willing to put him off and then, make him feel lesser than just because I was pursuing a degree and had this idealized notion that my degree was the only thing that mattered. I just, like, the person I am now can't imagine doing that then. But I did. And I think my first year, I missed out on so much life because I was so focused on being this person. Getting into my second year of grad school is where I really started to figure out the whole research thing, figured out all the tips and advice that I share now on this channel. And what that ended up becoming is I didn't have to put in as much effort to achieve even more results than I was my first year. And so I could easily, come up with a project, collect the data, in like a month or a couple months, write up a paper in a weekend, and then just continue that cycle. And I had learned how to do that to the point where now I wanted, to spend more time. I wanted to spend more time living in general. And I didn't want to keep putting all this effort into grad school. I wanted to, do more things with my life. And so that was a really awkward transition because I had been in this situation of constantly telling my partner that my grad school was the most important thing and stuff like that. And then I was trying to spend more time, living, doing things, even just watching TV or stuff like that. But I still had the like guilt in me that I wasn't doing work that probably most of y'all also have. So I would sit here and I'd be like, oh, I need to do work, but I'm going to do this instead. And then my partner, knowing that like grad school was my highest priority, would be like, don't you need to be doing work? Like, you can go do work, it's okay, and stuff like that. And so that caused frustrations because I'm like, do you not trust me that I can take care of my own work? Again, it's just like this idea that we always need to be working as grad students or as scientists and that we should just take on all the jobs and everything and our life is less important than science is just ridiculous. And it's so frustrating to me now what I gave up because I believed in that notion. We went through, all of my time starting my second year of grad school. My partner actually started grad school himself. So he started a master's program. And we actually both ended up graduating at the same time. So we both ended up graduating in December of 2019 in the same exact ceremony, which was super cute. And if I can find one, I'll put a picture up of both of us in our cap and gown. But yeah, we both graduated together, and I think even while he was going through his own grad school experience, like he still took on so much more in regards, because we were living together at the time. So he took on more in regards to keeping the house up and everything, because again, my highest priority was grad school. And I think it caused him so much more stress because he was trying to manage his own school, a full-time job, and, just the daily lives. And then I was over here managing grad school, which is like a job plus school. And then, it just like our relationship just, it was stable, but it just wasn't like flourishing. And I think a lot of that came from these ideas of grad school. So we both graduated, and then we moved for me to do my postdoc in North Carolina, which was just a horrible experience all around. And then COVID happened. The whole world shut down 3 months into my postdoc. And so from that time, from about a year and a half now, we've had this really interesting time so to back up, we got engaged my last semester. So October of 2019, we got engaged, and we like kind of started planning a wedding. And then I was like, it's whatever. And then, COVID happened and no weddings were happening or anything. So this last year, with us kind of being both locked down, working from home a lot, so we did another move to come back to where I did grad school so that he could take a separate job, where I have mainly focused more on this brand, and trying to help you all with research. And I will say that that was the first time I really had to let go of the notion of, being this scientist and everything. And I might talk about, the details behind what happened there someday, but not in this video. But basically, I had to kind of let go of the idea of being a scientist and everything. And that was hard. But it also gave me the ability to really focus in on my relationship, and our relationship has grown so much over the last year and a half. It's crazy. I feel like we're two totally different people than we were a year and a half ago. And if you probably went and watched like the videos, because I started this channel in May of 2020, so like 2 months after lockdown. If you went and probably watched those videos, you would probably realize like pretty different of a person now. And so I think like it's just so important to remember, if you are in grad school, live your life like you're doing any other job. If you're dating, I mean, obviously, if you're dating like within your department, follow ethical guidelines. But overall, like you can prioritize your partner over your work sometimes, or even all the time, and that's okay. And I think later on, you might realize that this degree that is on the forefront of your mind, and you think once you get it, everything's going to fall into place. It's not worth putting your life on hold. There's so many unknowns that's going to happen after you get your degree that it's just so not worth putting anything on hold. If you want to learn a language, if you want to go travel, if you want to do any of that, if you want to find a partner and settle down, have kids, any of that, don't put it on hold just because you're in grad school. Grad school is actually a really flexible position to be in. And I hope that you're finding an advisor or supervisor that allows you that flexibility in your life and take advantage of that flexibility. I started doing that in my probably second half of my second year into my third year. I really started taking advantage of that flexibility. But in my first year, I was so focused on like being that idealized student, that honestly, feel like I lost years of my life doing things that ultimately will never matter, because of my advisor. They'll never be published. Um, so overall, like, just live your life. And if you want to go on the dating scene, if you want to have fun, do it. If you don't and you want to do other things with your life, do that. But I kind of wanted to share my story about us getting married this weekend and kind of how that came to be and how I almost lost one of the best things in my life, because of this, hustle culture in grad school. And I really hope that you don't encounter the same things. All right, so that's all for now. I hope to see you guys in my next video, and I hope you're enjoying these Thursday videos. If you are, comment down below and let me know, maybe what topics you'd like me to cover, or just that you're enjoying these and you kind of want to see a little bit more of this side and these types of advice in my life. Alrighty, guys. Bye.